our tradition, the Hague International Model United Nations in Qatar is honored to introduce our opening speaker, Her Excellency Miss Marjan Kamstra. Your Excellency, the floor is yours.
Thank you so much, Giulia, and distinguished participants, ladies and gentlemen. It is such an honor to be here. I would have loved to have done this in person, but it's really good to see that we can start this virtually. I have to start, it was great to see in the introduction video so many participants here at THIMUN Qatar's annual Model United Nations. So as you know, THIMUN has a special connection with the Netherlands and with The Hague, and in turn, THIMUN Qatar has a special connection with the Dutch Embassy, which we value greatly. So as the Dutch ambassador, it gives me great pride to be kicking off this year's THIMUN's Qatar Annual Model UN. So I would like to start by thanking THIMUN Qatar for inviting me to say a few words to you today, to you, our future leaders. And this year, the conference is centered around Sustainable Development Goal 1, eradicating poverty. Well, the Netherlands developed quickly after the Second World War. So this means only one generation later that I find myself here as ambassador of Qatar. And this goes to show a number of things. First of all, how essential the development of a country is to eradicate poverty. That goes to SDG number 8, economic growth. It shows the importance of access of higher education for women and girls. That is Sustainable Development Goal 4, quality education. And it's also Sustainable Development Goal 5, gender equality. It shows the importance to bridge inequalities in society. That is a Sustainable Development Goal number 10. So all these sustainable development goals are connected to each other. And even though they seem abstract, they are in fact not at all. And my background illustrates. So the least abstract goal is perhaps SDG number 1, eradicate poverty. And poverty in all its forms everywhere. The UN says on its website, which I'm sure you've researched and going into the conference, that developing countries are most at risk during and in the aftermath of the COVID pandemic, not only to suffer a health crisis, but also to suffer a devastating social and economic crisis over the months and years to come. So the challenge that lies ahead of you in this conference is clear. It will require you to think, to discuss, to collaborate, to explore which strengths each of the nations among you can use in achieving Sustainable Development Goal number 1. To come up with solutions that also enforce the other Sustainable Development Goals. So I sincerely hope that this week you will be able to come up with suggestions, ways to tackle the challenges that the world is facing, and ways that are not only suited for your creative minds, but also feed my work, feed what we do as diplomatic missions, as government representatives, as, well, citizens of the world, really. The world can use your fresh ideas for the future that really is yours. It is the world that you will be living in and leaving also for future generations. So I'm going to ask you, even in this virtual setting, to look around you and to see all of the inspiring delegates around you that just like you are committed to make a difference and to contributing to social change. I hope that you have a successful event, that you experience new things and learn a lot these upcoming days, and that you come up with ideas that in the future you can put into practice. And I trust you to come up with solutions that already those of us, like me, already working hard to achieve the Sustainable Development Goals can use. So I wish you a very, very successful conference, and I thank you very much for giving me this opportunity to speak to you.
On behalf of all attendees here today, thank you for your enlightening speech. Esteemed guests, fellow delegates and chairs, welcome to the 11th edition of the Hague International Model United Nations and our second online event. First, a note about the schedule on the website. Please note that delegate logins will be from 12:45 to 1 p.m. on Tuesday and Wednesday, and 1:45 to 2 p.m. on Thursday and Friday. Late logins will result in being marked absent in roll call, and each absence disqualifies you from the minimum participation in this conference. So please ensure you log in on time. The time zone for the schedule automatically updates to your location unless you're using a VPN. So kindly ensure that your VPNs are switched off when accessing the platform. This year, we focus on Sustainable Development Goal number 1, no poverty, specifically the issues around combating poverty post-COVID-19. This SDG aims to end poverty in all forms and everywhere. Eradicating poverty is not a task of charity, it's an act of justice and key to unlocking an enormous human potential. Still, nearly half of the world's population lives in poverty, and a lack of food and clean water is killing thousands every single day of the year. According to Oxfam's inequality data, the world's richest 86 persons hoard more wealth than the bottom 50% of this world's population, all 3.8 billion people. This issue has existed since the earliest human civilizations. However, wealth has not been this unequally distributed since pharaohs ruled the Nile. We will not be able to solve global issues from the rooms we now sit in, but by gaining skills, knowledge, and understanding at THIMUN Qatar, we build the tools we need to sit at decision-making tables. We will be able to feed the hungry, to wipe out disease, and to give everyone in the world a chance to prosper and live a productive and rich life.
Poverty is a perennial problem of multifaceted nature. It is associated with a lack of financial resources to sustain a minimum standard of living. However, it is such an umbrella term that we sometimes forget the complexity of the social deprivations it stands for. SDG 1 is grounded in a wide-ranging understanding of poverty and incorporates compound dimensions, including equality and inclusion in access to resources, services, and participation. While poverty is enabled among certain communities by underlying structural issues and systematic inequalities, its persistence equally serves as the catalyst and gives rise to many social injustices. Therefore, we have attempted to reflect its complexity in the General Assembly issues to strengthen our understanding of and efforts to tackle poverty with a multi-perspective approach. From considering the vulnerability of refugees and displaced persons to extreme poverty in GA1, to promoting the role of youth within economic development in GA2. From enhancing the coordination of UN humanitarian assistance in GA5, to recognizing poverty eradication as a key to preventing international terrorism in GA6. These are all critical issues that stand in our way of achieving social justice. Therefore, I would like to invite you all to join us in embracing a rights-based approach, gender equality, resilience, and sustainability in addressing the varying deprivations and divides that poverty inflicts on different social groups in our march towards a more inclusive post-COVID world.
Poverty has been a major issue since COVID-19 struck the world and economies have been shattered absolutely. At THIMUN Qatar 2022, we wanted to look into those issues, find solutions, and help those economies get back on their feet. For the same, our issues from the non-general assemblies focus on eradication of poverty from a gender aspect, focusing on specific areas like Haiti and West Africa, bringing in the youth to engage in energy compacts, and much, much more. We've also got issues that look into urban slum dwellers, fires in the Amazon, protection of human rights, and sexual vulnerability of children, all of which have been exacerbated by the wealth gaps brought in by COVID-19. With these issues, we lead the 11th conference of THIMUN Qatar to help our delegates equip themselves with the solutions of the problems for a transition into a far more peaceful and tranquil post-COVID world.
Today we welcome delegates from Qatar, Singapore, Pakistan, the UAE, Iran, and Greece. With the focus of SDG 1 No Poverty, how can we as high school students help to tackle this global issue that is so prominent and pressing? Do we have the resources to do so? It would be no easy feat. It goes without saying that we may not solve this issue within our lifetime, But does that make any attempts or effort obsolete? No, of course not. Every little contribution counts and can ultimately pile up together to make a difference. So, how can we go about addressing this issue? One straightforward way is through education. People who are living in poverty are giving birth to children who are raised in the same difficult and harsh conditions. These children barely have access to education and thus lack opportunity to advance themselves and their families out of poverty. This means the loop continues. They are stuck in what we call the cycle of poverty. Educating is the best way to offer the means to break the cycle of poverty. This is what will ultimately help the world's poorest in the long term, and there are lots of opportunities to do so. Bidyananda Foundation, an organization that THIMUN Qatar has partnered with for many years, is a great example of grassroots organization that has allowed students to be part of educating the least privileged children of Bangladesh, to help with giving them the opportunity to seek more education, helping them break out of poverty. Opportunities given to us from organizations like Bidyananda should not be overlooked. Seek out those opportunities and make your mark in this world.
How many times have you heard the phrase make a difference or be the change you want to see in the world? It feels like a cliche now, doesn't it? But what does it really take to make a difference? It turns out not much. Motivation is the one essential ingredient. Let's take this year's Gaia project as an example. Our top 3 projects come from 3 schools, and they all started with a simple idea and the willingness to change that idea into reality. Whether it's online or in real life, there are more than enough problems that we as a generation could work towards solving. Starting a social media page to raise awareness, contacting an organization and asking to volunteer, or simply spreading the word on a pressing issue is something we can all do. So let us. The biggest enemy to social progress is the misconception that change must be big and extravagant to make a positive impact. But the key is realizing that building the foundations of change by starting small is more important than anything else. There are no excuses left. We begin today.
Every great idea needs a start, and with THIMUN Qatar, we aim to provide young people with a platform from which they can take action in their own communities. And in these next few days, we're all going to become advocates, be it defending a resolution you find particularly effective, or finding the motivation to continue the discussion on these global issues beyond the walls of your committee rooms. You'll be able to see the qualities that truly make leaders. The Global Acts for Impact Awards have been a long-standing approach to foster community action through MUN. However, this year we've also tried to use this platform of MUN to bring forward opportunities that will help you make a much more direct transition from debate to action. And one initiative that has been set up in collaboration with the Muhammad Alif University educates students on 5 domains of global poverty and calls for the development of solutions to different aspects of this issue. This is, of course, the ideal time. And this is a global opportunity for all of you to use the lobbying skills you gain from MUN to collaborate with PhD students with a common goal of finding effective solutions addressing the theme of this year's conference. The PG team has also been working to create service activities, partnering with local organizations to highlight some of the work being done in our community to support the SDGs. These service projects are both a way to bring us together to achieve these vitally important goals and providing a starting point for all of you to take further action with these initiatives. Instead, with all the opportunities that we are given, there are no excuses. We must take action. We must begin today.
And now, we would like to introduce a video created by our amazing press team.
Zaina, and this is our admin team.
May,
Tala,
Jana, Mayasa,
Lian, Faith,
Hassan,
Henry,
Lil.
Hassan.
I'm excited for the debates.
I'm really excited about the. 1 second. Okay.
I hope my admin team doesn't mess up.
yeah. Guys, come on.
So you can focus on the smaller issues. For example, at THIMUN, we're focusing on women in poverty.
The way in which we can break the cycle of poverty is by giving people the essential skills and the education needed for them to come out of that cycle.
One way to combat poverty is to encourage governments and to inspire young students to advocate for welfare programs to be implemented within each countries, especially for the youth.
One way we could combat poverty is by first addressing the issue of inequality, and the most important thing is for countries to work together to close the wealth gap.
On behalf of all the attendees, thank you to the student officers, the admin team, and all the press members for helping us create this wonderful video.
And thank you all for joining us here today. We hope you will immerse yourself in the fruitful debates and collaborative discussions, because whatever your contribution to this conference may be, you are contributing to shaping the voice of the youth. With that, I now declare the 11th Annual THIMUN Conference officially open.